Hello there. Tonight, we are not going to talk about grand empires. We are not going to talk about wars or kings or dates that you have to memorize. We are leaving all of that behind. We are walking away from the noise, away from the concrete, away from the ticking clocks and the bright screens. We are going back, far, far back, to the very edge of the woods and the edge of the water. Tonight, we're stepping into a different kind of story. Not the shining legend, but the cold, heavy truth beneath the armor of the earth. You won't find dragons here, or flawless heroes. Just a life built on duty, fear, and the quiet grind of surviving in the soil through endless fields, broken sleep, and the slow fade of the day. If this helps you find peace and you truly find value in this journey, please feel free to like the video and subscribe. It lets me know that this work is helping someone rest. And please, let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. It's oddly comforting to know who else is drifting off to the same slow march through history. The forest behind you is a wall of ancient shadows, a place where the trees have stood for 1,000 years, their roots intertwined in a silent, dark embrace. For as long as you can remember, this forest was the world. But today, the air feels different. The wind is no longer carrying the sharp scent of pine and dry earth. It is carrying something new, something wet, heavy, and full of a strange, sweet promise. You walk toward the light at the edge of the trees. Step by step, the ground beneath your feet begins to shift. The dry, crunchy carpet of needles and leaves is fading away, replaced by a soft, yielding surface that seems to breathe with every movement you make. You reach the boundary. Before you, the world opens up into a vast, shimmering expanse of marshland, bathed in the pale, grey light of a morning mist. This is the place where the water meets the land. You look toward the horizon, where the mist is thickest, and you see them, the visitors. Their boats are low, dark shapes, moving silently through the reeds. They do not arrive with the thunder of hooves or the clash of metal. They arrive with the soft splash of a paddle and the quiet murmur of voices that sound like the wind over the waves. You watch them from the shelter of the tall grass. Their faces are long and calm, their eyes steady, as if they carry the stillness of the great sea within them. They move with a quiet purpose that you have never seen before. They are not here to hunt. They are here to stay. One of them steps onto the muddy bank. His clothes are made of a fabric you do not recognize, dyed the color of the earth. He reaches into a pouch at his side and pulls out a small wooden bowl. In that bowl, nestled like a treasure, sits a handful of tiny, pale seeds. The first grain. To your eyes, it looks like nothing more than a speck of dust, a fragment of stone. But the man holds it with a reverence that makes you catch your breath. He looks toward you, sensing your presence in the shadows of the woods. He does not reach for a weapon. Instead, he holds out the bowl. He is offering you a new kind of life, a life that does not chase after the deer, but waits for the sun. You hesitate for a moment, the memory of the deep woods tugging at your heart. But then you take a step forward, leaving the firm earth behind. Squelch. Your foot sinks into the dark, heavy mud of the wetland. It is cool, thick, and clings to your skin like a secret. It is the heaviest, most patient thing you have ever felt. As you reach for the grain, the silence of the marsh swallows the world. The hunt is over. The cycle of the field has begun. The sun is hidden behind a veil of soft, grey mist, and the world feels small, enclosed in a circle of eternal silence. You are no longer just a spectator of the land. Your hands, once used to the tension of the bow and the gathering of wild berries, now reach for something different. Something heavy. Something crafted from the very heart of the forest. You reach down and pick up the wooden hoe. The kua. It is carved from a single sturdy branch of oak, seasoned by the smoke of the pit dwelling. You feel the grain of the wood beneath your fingers, the tiny ridges and the rough, honest texture of the bark that remains at the handle. It is heavy, but it is a good weight. It is the weight of a promise made to the earth. You lift the hoe, feeling the muscles in your shoulders pull, and then you let it fall into the soft, dark mud. Thud. The sound is muffled, swallowed by the wet earth. You pull the wood toward you, turning the soil, inviting the water to flow where you want it to go. You do it again. Lift and fall. Thud. The rhythm begins to take hold of you. It is slower than the heartbeat of a running deer, but it is stronger. It is the pulse of the land itself. And then you hear it. The water. It is no longer just a stagnant pool. Through the narrow channels you have carved, the water begins to move. It is a tiny, delicate sound, a soft, silver thread of music in the vast, quiet marsh. Trickle, ripple, gurgle. You stop your work for a moment and just listen. The water is talking to the seeds you buried. It is whispering to the roots that have not yet grown. It is a song of patience, a song of the long, slow months ahead. You reach into the pouch at your waist and touch the stone knife, the ishi boccho. Its surface is cool, as smooth as the skin of a fish. You run your thumb along the curved edge, feeling the sharpness that was born from hours of patient grinding against a river stone. It is not a weapon of death, but a tool of life. It waits for the harvest, just as you wait for the sun. The forest is a memory. The hunt is a dream. Here, in the mud and the mist, you are learning the true meaning of time. One drop, one stroke, one breath at a time. The day is slowly drawing to a close. The pale grey of the mist has deepened into a rich, heavy indigo. and the first stars are beginning to pierce through the veil of the night sky. You stand still in the center of the field, your legs still buried deep in the patient mud. The work for today is finished. The first seedlings are nestled in their dark, wet cradles. You look down at the water around your knees. It is no longer just a muddy marsh. Because the wind has died down and the surface is perfectly still, the water has become a mirror. In it, you see the stars, tiny, cold points of light reflecting back at you from the black earth. It feels as if you are standing between two heavens, one above, infinite and cold, and one below, held in the palm of the land you have just begun to tame. The exhaustion in your body is a slow, heavy hum, a dull ache in your back, and a deep tiredness in your arms. It is not the sharp, frantic fatigue of the hunt. It is a steady, rhythmic weight. It is the exhaustion of the farmer. You realize in this quiet moment that you have traded the uncertainty of the forest for the slow, heavy responsibility of the field. You are no longer chasing the day. You are waiting for the season. In the distance, the smoke from the pit dwellings rises in thin, straight lines toward the moon. You can hear the faint, muffled sounds of the village, the low murmur of voices, the crackle of a dying fire, and the distant bark of a dog. But here in the water, there is only the sound of your own breath and the soft, rhythmic chirping of the insects in the tall grass. They are singing to the grain. They are singing to the future. You take a final, slow step toward the bank. Squelch. The mud reluctantly lets go of your foot, releasing it with a heavy sigh. You climb onto the firm earth, feeling the cool night air against your skin. You look back at the field one last time. The water shimmers in the moonlight, hiding the seeds you have planted deep within its heart. The long, slow wait has begun. Tomorrow, the sun will rise, and the cycle will continue. But for now, there is only the darkness, the stars, and the profound, heavy peace of the Yayoi. The morning mist has long since evaporated, leaving behind a heavy, humid stillness that clings to the skin like a second layer of clothing. You are standing in the middle of the wetland, the same place you were when the first seeds were pressed into the earth. But the world has changed. The silence of the marsh is no longer empty. It is filled with the slow, invisible breathing of the soil. Close your eyes for a moment and breathe in. The scent is the first thing that greets you. It is the scent of the Yayoi. It is a complex, ancient perfume of dark mud, stagnant water, and the sharp green tang of young reeds. It smells of life, but life in its most patient form. It is the smell of decomposition turning into growth, a cycle that has no beginning and no end. It is heavy, earthy, and oddly comforting. You look down at the surface of the water around your knees. It is shallow, warm from the afternoon sun, and perfectly still. A layer of bright green duckweed has begun to spread across the surface, like a delicate carpet made of tiny, emerald stars. You reach out a hand and slowly, very slowly, dip your fingertips into the water. The ripples spread outward in perfect, lazy circles, catching the sunlight and turning into shimmering rings of gold. Beneath the water, the mud is a world of its own. You can feel the warmth of the top layer, heated by the sun, and as you press your fingers deeper, you find the cool, ancient chill of the earth below. It is smooth, without a single stone to break the rhythm of its texture. You imagine the roots of the rice plants, tiny, white threads reaching out through this darkness, drinking the water, searching for the strength to push upward toward the light. There is no wind today. The tall grasses at the edge of the field are motionless, their shadows stretching long and thin across the mud. You can hear the distant, repetitive hum of a dragonfly's wings, a dry, mechanical sound that only emphasizes the vast silence of the marshes. It hovers for a second, a spark of blue light against the brown and green, and then it is gone, leaving you alone with the scent, the heat, and the slow, heavy passage of time. The sun begins its long, slow descent toward the forest, turning the water into a sheet of polished bronze. You do not move. There is no need to hurry. In this era of the field, time is not measured by the ticking of a clock, but by the slow lengthening of shadows and the steady growth of the grain. You are a part of this landscape now, as still as the reeds, as patient as the mud. The world is drifting, and you are drifting with it. The rhythm of the field is a slow, steady pulse, and now it is time for your hands to find their own repetitive song. You reach into the woven pouch at your waist and pull out the stone reaping knife, the ishibocho. It feels cool against your palm, a small, crescent-shaped piece of slate that has been ground to a fine, sharp edge. You run your thumb along its surface, feeling the slight grain of the stone and the two small holes where the fibers of the cord are threaded through to keep it secure against your fingers. This knife is not for the hunt. It does not seek the heart of a beast. It seeks only the golden stalks of the rice, one by one. You reach out and grasp a single stem. The plant is rough and dry against your skin. You position the stone blade just below the ear of the grain, and with a tiny, precise movement of your thumb, you press. Snap. The sound is delicate, a small, sharp victory over the silence. The ear of rice falls into your waiting hand, light and bristling with life. You move to the next stalk. Reach, position, press, snap, and the next. Snap, and the next. Snap. The motion is so small, so simple, yet it is the foundation of everything you now know. Your world narrows down to this single, endless task. The sun beats down on your back, and the humidity wraps around you like a heavy blanket. But you do not stop. The pile of grain in your basket grows with agonizing slowness. Each ear of rice represents a moment of time, a breath, a heartbeat. You lose yourself in the repetition. The snap of the stalk becomes the only clock that matters, marking the passage of the afternoon in tiny, audible fragments. The air around you is thick with the dust of the harvest, a fine, golden powder that tickles your nose and settles on your damp skin. It smells of sun-dried straw and ancient earth. Your fingers begin to ache with a dull, familiar tiredness. but it is a comfortable pain. It is the pain of belonging. You are part of the machine of the seasons, a single cog in a cycle that will continue long after the sun has set. You look across the field, seeing others bent over the grain, their movements identical to yours. A sea of people moving in slow motion, their stone knives flashing briefly in the light before disappearing back into the stalks. No one speaks. There is no need for words when the work itself is a prayer. Snap. Snap. The day continues its slow crawl toward evening, and you continue with it, one grain at a time, drifting deeper into the golden silence of the field. The relentless sun has finally dipped behind the jagged silhouette of the western mountains, and the sky is a bruised, beautiful canvas of violet and deep gold. You stand for a moment at the edge of the field, your shadow stretching long and thin across the narrow ridges of the earth, the A's. The heat of the afternoon is being pulled away by the rising night, replaced by a cool, sharp breeze that carries the damp breath of the forest. You begin to walk along the narrow path, the thin strip of firm ground that separates the water from the dark. Your feet are still coated in the heavy mud of the Yayoi, and as you move, you can feel it beginning to dry and tighten against your skin. It is a strange, grounding sensation, the earth literally clinging to you, a physical memory of the hours you spent bent over the grain. Each step is slow, unhurried, as if you are moving through a dream. In the distance, beyond the shimmering expanse of the fields, you see it. The first thin, delicate plumes of smoke rising from the village. The pit dwellings, nestled like small, earth-covered mounds against the darkening hillside, are beginning to breathe. The smoke is a pale, ghostly grey against the indigo sky, rising in straight, unwavering lines. It carries the scent of burning oak and cedar, the scent of home, the scent of the end of the day. You stop to listen to the cooling world. The water in the irrigation channels is no longer a bright, silver thread. It is now a dark, hidden current, whispering and gurgling as it flows past the wooden gates. The insects of the evening have begun their rhythmic prayer, a steady, high-pitched hum that vibrates through the cool air. It is a sound that has remained unchanged for 1,000 years, the heartbeat of the marsh at rest. The light is fading fast now. The golden stalks of rice are turning into shadows, a sea of darkness that seems to move with the rhythm of the wind. You look down at your hands, the hands that held the ishibocho, the hands that turned the soil. They are stained with the colors of the earth, dark and tired, yet they feel satisfied. You have done the work of the season. You have earned the right to rest. You reach the cluster of dwellings, the thatched roofs blending into the dark shapes of the trees. The firelight from within flickers through the low entrances, casting a warm, orange glow onto the beaten earth outside. The smell of the smoke is stronger here, comforting and heavy. You take one last look at the fields, now hidden under a blanket of night and stars. The cycle is complete. The day is over. And now it is time to drift away into the deep, dark soil of sleep. Step away from the fields and the cooling marshes. Walk with me now toward the small, rounded hills of the village, where the thatched roofs of the pit dwellings lean low against the earth. As you push aside the heavy mat at the entrance and step down into the cool, shadowed interior, the air changes. It is thick with the scent of dry straw, the lingering ghost of a wood fire, and the clean, herbal smell of raw flax and hemp. In the corner, where the light of the afternoon filters through the doorway in a single, dusty beam, sits the loom. It is a simple frame, crafted from dark, polished wood that has been smoothed by the touch of 1,000 hands. You sit before it, feeling the cool earth beneath you, and for a moment, you just look at the forest of vertical threads stretching up toward the ceiling. Hundreds of tiny, pale lines of fibre, waiting to be woven into a story. You reach out and touch the warp threads with your fingertips. They are taut, vibrating slightly like the strings of a silent instrument. You feel the rough, honest texture of the plant fibres, a little coarse, a little stubborn, yet full of the strength of the sun and the rain. This is the beginning of the fabric. This is the beginning of the silence. You pick up the wooden shuttle. The weight of it is comforting in your palm. It is shaped like a small, narrow boat, hollowed out to hold the precious thread. You prepare to make the first pass. You slide the shuttle through the gap in the threads. Shh. The sound is like a soft breath, a sigh of relief as the thread finds its place. Then, you pull the wooden bar toward you to tighten the weave. Clack. A solid, rhythmic thud of wood against wood. The loom groans ever so slightly, a low wooden creak that echoes in the quiet room. Again, you slide the shuttle back the other way. Shh. And you beat the thread home. Clack. Shh. Clack. The rhythm begins to slow your heartbeat. Your world narrows until there is nothing left but the horizontal and the vertical, the over and the under, the sound of the breath and the sound of the wood. You are not just making a cloth. You are weaving the very fabric of time, one slow, deliberate thread at a time. The dust motes dance in the light, swirling slowly as you move. Outside, the world may be changing, the seasons may be turning, but here, in the shadows of the dwelling, there is only the rhythm, the endless, patient, perfect rhythm of the loom. Shh. Clack. Everything is repeating. Everything is becoming still. Your eyes are half closed now, adjusting to the soft, dusty dimness of the interior. The light from the hearth has faded into a dull orange glow, and the only world that exists is the few inches of thread right in front of your face. Your hands move with a memory of their own, no longer needing your mind to guide them. Reach, slide, beat, reach, slide, beat. Focus now on the sensation in your fingertips. You can feel the raw, untamed nature of the plant fibers. This is not the smooth, machine-made silk of another time. This is the yayoi. This is hemp and flax and the wild inner bark of trees. It is coarse against your skin, a little prickly, carrying the microscopic remnants of the sun-dried stalks. You feel the tiny knots, the uneven thickness of the hand-spun thread, the honest imperfections that make this cloth alive. As you work, the natural oils from your skin begin to soften the fibers, smoothing them ever so slightly as they pass through your hands. The scent of the dry grass rises up to meet you, a dusty herbal perfume that fills your lungs and slows your breathing. Every breath you take matches the movement of the shuttle. Inhale as the wood slides through the warp. Exhale as the bar strikes home. Clack. The sound is deeper now, muffled by the growing weight of the finished cloth. You reach down and touch the fabric you have already woven. It is stiff, strong, and heavy. It feels like the earth itself has been flattened and turned into fiber. It is a shield against the wind, a blanket for the cold nights in the pit dwelling. You run your hand across the surface, feeling the rhythmic ridges created by the interlacing threads. It is a landscape of your own making, a desert of pale brown and grey that stretches out from the loom. The repetitive motion is like a gentle wave washing over your conscious mind. The clack of the wood, the whisper of the thread, the scent of the straw. Everything is blurring together. The boundaries of your body seem to dissolve into the frame of the loom. You are the wood. You are the thread. You are the silence. One more pass, one more beat, and the world drifts just a little further away. The rhythm of the clack has finally ceased. The wooden shuttle rests in its cradle, and the room is suddenly filled with a silence so heavy it feels like a physical presence against your skin. You lean back, your muscles releasing their long, rhythmic tension, and you look toward the low entrance of the dwelling. The world outside has turned a deep, shimmering silver. The moon has risen. A single beam of moonlight slides down the earthen floor, crawling slowly across the room until it touches the loom. In this cold, pale light, the fabric you have woven looks different. It is no longer just a collection of threads. It is a solid sheet of silver and shadow. You reach out and run your hand across the finished length of cloth, feeling the density of the weave, the strength of the fibers, and the cool, damp breath of the night that has settled into the fabric. It is heavy. It is honest. You can feel the hours of your life held within the intersections of the hemp and the flax. Every shh and every clack is now a part of this stillness. You unhook the tension, feeling the loom sigh as it releases its grip. You gather the fabric into your arms. It is stiff and rough, yet it carries the lingering warmth of the dwelling. You press your face into the cloth, smelling the sun-dried grass, the faint smoke, and the deep, silent memory of the earth. Outside, the village is a collection of dark, silent mounds under the vast, starry sky. There is no wind to stir the thatch, no movement in the shadows of the trees. Even the water in the distant fields seems to have frozen into a sheet of black glass, reflecting the infinite stars. The world is at rest. The work is done. The story of the thread has reached its end for tonight. You wrap the new cloth around your shoulders, feeling its weight anchor you to the ground. You move toward your sleeping mat, the cool earth beneath your feet a final reminder of where you belong. The embers of the hearth glow a faint, deep red, a dying star in the center of your world. You close your eyes, letting the scent of the fibers and the silence of the loom wrap around you like a cocoon. One more breath, slow and deep. The weave is complete, and you are drifting away into the silver moonlight of the past. The morning sun has risen, but it is no longer the pale, weak sun of the planting season. It is a deep, heavy gold, hanging low over a world that has turned into an ocean of grain. You stand at the edge of the vast fields of the Yayoi, and as far as your eyes can see, the rice stalks are bowing under the weight of their own bounty. A sea of amber, rippling slowly as the dry autumn wind sighs across the landscape. Step into the field. The water that once reached your ankles has been drained, leaving behind a floor of cracked, grey earth that smells of parched clay and sun-baked straw. The stalks brush against your skin as you move, a dry, rustling sound, like 1,000 whispers telling you that the time has finally come. You reach for the cord of your stone knife, feeling the familiar pressure of the twine against your fingers. The ishi bocho is ready. Look at the grain in front of you. Each head of rice is a cluster of tiny, hard jewels, protected by their rough, golden husks. You reach out and cup one in your hand. It is warm from the sun, and as you move your thumb, you feel the sharp, needle-like bristles that guard the seed. They prick your skin ever so slightly, a tiny, constant reminder of the life held within. This is the moment the entire year has been moving toward. You position the curved edge of the stone knife. You feel the resistance of the stalk for a fraction of a second, and then snap. The sound is crisp, dry, and final. The head of the grain is yours. You place it into the heavy, woven basket at your side, hearing the soft thump as it joins the others. Then you move your hand a few inches to the left. Reach, position, snap. And again. Reach, position, snap. The rhythm is beginning to weave itself into your very bones. The field is endless. There are thousands of stalks in this row, and thousands more in the next. You do not look at the horizon. You do not think about the hours ahead. You only think about the next snap. the clink of the stone knife as it brushes against its neighbour, the dry scent of the dust rising from the stalks, the steady, rhythmic movement of your arm. Your mind is becoming as empty as the autumn sky, filled only with the golden light and the repetitive prayer of the harvest. Snap, snap. The world is shrinking. It is no longer a village or a country. It is only this single plant, this single stone, and this single moment. The repetition is a cocoon, protecting you from the noise of the world, wrapping you in a blanket of golden sound. Everything is predictable. Everything is safe. One more snap, and the world drifts just a little further away. The sun is directly overhead now, a golden hammer beating down upon the endless ocean of grain. The day has lost its edges, dissolving into a hazy, shimmering heat that wraps around you like a heavy blanket. Hours have passed since the first snap of the morning. How many? You cannot remember. Time no longer exists, measured only by the rhythmic rise and fall of your arm. Focus now on the sensation in your fingers, the fingers that have held the ishibocho since the dawn. You can feel the pain beginning to settle deep within the joints, a dull, throbbing ache that spreads through your hand with every precise movement. The thin cord that holds the stone knife, the twine that feels so smooth in the morning, is now biting into your skin, leaving a red, indented line across your flesh. It is the mark of the harvest, the price of the grain. You reach out for the next stalk, your fingers stiff and resistant. The skin is rough, covered in tiny, invisible scratches from the golden bristles. You position the blade and press. Snap. The pain is a tiny flash of reality in the dreamlike heat, but it is a comfortable pain, a pain that tells you that you are here, that you are part of this land, that you are doing the work that has been done for 1,000 years. As you work, the autumn wind gusts across the field, stirring up a storm of golden dust. It is not the dust of the earth, it is the dust of the life itself, a cloud of pollen, of chaff, of microscopic fragments of the dried stalks, rising up into the dusty beams of sunlight. It dances around you in slow motion, a million tiny sparks of amber, like memories of the sun trapped in the air. The dust settles on your damp skin, coating you in a fine golden powder. It finds its way into your nose, into your mouth. The air is thick with the scent of dried straw, of ancient earth, and the sweet, almost intoxicating aroma of the mature grain. Every breath you take is heavy with the harvest. Your world is shrinking, filled only with the golden light, the golden dust, and the golden pain of the endless repetition. Snap, snap, snap. Drift deeper into the golden silence. The long golden afternoon has finally begun to dissolve into the deep violet of the autumn twilight. The rhythmic snap of the stone knife, which has been the heartbeat of the world for so many hours, has finally gone quiet. You stand still in the middle of the empty stalks, your arm resting at your side, heavy and numb with the memory of the motion. The silence that follows is not empty. It is a thick, cool blanket that settles over the land, muffling the distant sounds of the forest. You look down at your feet. The earth, which felt so warm and dry under the midday sun, is beginning to lose its heat. You can feel the coolness rising up from the deep clay, a slow, silent tide of chill that seeps through the cracks in the ground and touches your skin. It is the breath of the night, waking up beneath the soil. You take a slow step, and the dry, broken stalks crunch softly under your weight, a brittle, fragile sound that echoes in the stillness of the evening. Your basket is full. It sits on the ground beside you, a heavy mound of golden grain that represents 1,000 heartbeats, 1,000 breaths, and 1,000 snaps of the stone. You reach down and run your hand across the surface of the harvest. The ears of rice are cool now, their golden husks rough and dry against your tired palm. You have gathered the sun, and now, as the light fades, you carry that warmth with you back toward the village. In the distance, the small mounds of the dwellings are beginning to blend into the shadows of the hills. The smoke from the evening fires is rising again, thin silver threads that disappear into the first few stars. It carries the scent of burning cedar and the aroma of parched grain, a scent that tells your body it is time to let go. The work is finished. The year has reached its peak, and now it begins its slow, graceful descent into the dark. You walk along the narrow path, leaving the silent fields behind you. The air is sharp and crisp, filling your lungs with the purity of the coming winter. Your mind is as still as the water in the irrigation channels, a dark, mirror-like surface reflecting the infinite sky. You have done the work of a human. You have fed the future. And now, as the cold earth claims the day, it is time for you to claim the night. Sink down into the shadows. Drift away into the cool, silent soil of the past. The night air outside is crisp and sharp, but as you pull back the heavy woven mat and step down into the pit dwelling, the world instantly softens. You are descending into the earth, moving below the surface where the ground itself acts as a warm, protective embrace. The air here is heavy, still, and thick with the comforting perfume of the Yayoi night. It is the scent of dry thatch, of sun-baked clay, and the persistent, ancient ghost of a wood fire. Walk across the beaten earth floor, feeling the cool, solid reality of the ground beneath your bare feet. It is smooth, packed tight by the footsteps of generations, and it holds the memory of the day's warmth long after the sun has vanished. In the center of the room, the hearth is a small, glowing island in the sea of shadows. The fire has burned down to a collection of deep orange embers, pulsing slowly like a resting heart. You sit down by the warmth, feeling the heat radiate against your skin. It is a slow, penetrating warmth that seeps into your tired muscles, releasing the tension of the harvest and the weight of the stone knife. Look into the smoke rising from the coals. It does not drift quickly. Because the air is so still, the smoke moves in lazy, elegant curls, a silver dance of ribbons that rise toward the darkness of the high, thatched ceiling. In the flickering light, you see them, the faces of your kin, sitting in the circle of the glow. They are the faces of the water and the field, faces that are long and calm, with narrow eyes that reflect the dying embers. Their features are softened by the shadows, turning them into living statues of bronze and amber. No one speaks. There is no need for words in this circle. The crackle of a single spark, the soft sigh of the wind against the thatch above, these are the only voices you need. You watch a single ribbon of smoke as it drifts past your eyes. It is a bridge between the solid world of the earth and the infinite world of the night. Your eyelids are becoming heavy, weighted down by the warmth and the rhythmic pulse of the firelight. The faces around you are blurring, becoming one with the smoke, one with the shadows. You are safe here, deep within the heart of the ground, sinking, drifting into the orange glow of the past. The warmth from the central hearth is steady now, a deep, penetrating heat that makes the shadows on the walls dance in slow, heavy circles. You reach out and touch the vessel sitting near the embers. It is a jar of the Yayoi, crafted from the very earth you walked upon today. Feel the surface with your fingertips. It is thinner than the pots of the old times, harder and more elegant, yet it still carries the rough, honest soul of the clay. The color is a warm, reddish brown, like the skin of the earth under a setting sun. You can feel the faint ridges where the potter's hands shaped the wet mud, a spiral of history frozen in stone. It is warm to the touch, having sat near the fire for hours, and as you lift it, the weight of it anchors you to the floor. It is solid. It is real. It is the container of your survival. Inside, the grain you harvested is beginning to release its final gift. A thin, delicate veil of steam rises from the jar, curling upward into the smoky air of the dwelling. Close your eyes and breathe it in. It is the scent of the sun and the rain, a heavy, sweet aroma of steamed rice and toasted seeds. It is a simple smell, ancient and pure, a smell that tells your body the struggle of the day is truly over. You take a small wooden bowl and fill it from the jar. The sound of the grain sliding against the clay is a soft, dry whisper. You begin to eat, slowly, very slowly. There is no talk in the room, only the rhythmic, quiet sounds of the meal. The texture of the grain is firm, but it yields to your touch, a gift of energy from the fields you have tended. Each mouthful is a slow meditation on the cycle of the seasons. The warmth of the food spreads from your chest to your limbs, a slow, glowing tide of comfort that makes your heart beat with a deep, steady rhythm. You look at the empty bowl in your hands, the light of the embers reflecting off the smoothed wood. The simplicity of this moment is its power. A fire, a roof, and a bowl of grain. Nothing more is needed. The world outside, with its winds and its forests, is far away. Here, in the hollow of the earth, you are full, you are warm, and you are drifting, sinking deeper into the quiet satisfaction of the night. The night has grown deep, and the world outside the pit dwelling has disappeared into a sea of infinite, silent black. Inside, The faces of your kin have faded into the shadows, their steady, rhythmic breathing the only sound in the cool air. You are the last one awake, sitting by the remains of the hearth, watching the final drama of the day play out in the glowing embers. Look closely at the coals. They are no longer bright orange. They are a deep, pulsing crimson, covered in a thin, fragile layer of grey ash, like a blanket of dust settling over a dying star. A single tiny spark jumps into the air, dancing for a fraction of a second before vanishing into the darkness of the high, soot-stained ceiling. It is the final thought of the day, drifting away into nothingness. The warmth that once radiated from the fire is now a soft, fading memory. You can feel the coolness of the earth floor beginning to reclaim the space. A slow, invisible tide of chill that makes you draw your woven cloak tighter around your shoulders. The scent of the smoke is faint now, replaced by the clean, damp smell of the midnight soil. The house is breathing with you, a slow, heavy pulse that matches the beating of your own heart. You lie back on your mat, feeling the solid, unyielding support of the earth beneath you. The world of the harvest, the clack of the loom, the snap of the stone knife, they are all far away now, echoes from a different life. Here, in the hollow of the ground, there are no obligations. There are no goals to reach. There is only the darkness and the profound, heavy safety of the shadows. The last ember fades. The room is plunged into total, perfect blackness. But you are not afraid. You are wrapped in the arms of the earth, protected by the silence of the village. Your mind is like the cooling ash, still, quiet, and empty. Let the darkness fill your eyes. Let the silence fill your ears. You are drifting, further and further back, into the ancient velvet night of the Yayoi. Sleep. Just sleep. Outside the warmth of the pit dwelling, the world has become a vast, indigo silence. You stand at the inner edge of the village, looking out toward the boundary that separates your people from the unknown. This is the moat, a deep, wide circle of water and earth that cradles the entire community in its steady, liquid embrace. In the pale light of the moon, the water is as dark and still as obsidian, a mirror of the night sky, holding the stars in its depths. Walk slowly toward the edge of the ditch. Feel the damp, cool air rising from the water. It carries the scent of wet clay and the sharp, green smell of the reeds that guard the banks. This moat was not made by the earth alone. It was carved by the hands of your kin, one basket of soil at a time, a monument of patience and protection. You reach out and touch the tall wooden palisade, the sharp, pointed logs of the sakaku, the defensive wall that rises from the inner bank. The wood is rough and cold under your palm, seasoned by the wind and the rain. You can feel the strength of the forest held within these timbers, a solid, unyielding barrier against the wild. As the night wind sighs through the gaps in the wood, it makes a low, whistling sound, a hollow music that only emphasizes the profound stillness of the water below. You are safe here. The world outside may be vast and untamed, but the moat is a silent promise that the night will remain peaceful. A small pebble slips from the bank and falls into the water. Plink. The sound is tiny, but in the absolute silence, it echoes like a secret. You watch the ripples spread outward in perfect, shimmering circles, disturbing the reflection of the stars before the surface becomes a mirror once again. The water is heavy, stagnant, and deep. It is the weight of the land guarding its own. You feel your breathing slow down, matching the rhythmic, invisible pulse of the moat. You look across the dark expanse of the water to the shadows of the plains beyond. They feel far away, like a dream you have already forgotten. Here, inside the circle, the air is thick with the scent of wood smoke and safety. The work of defense is done for the night. The moat is watching for you. The water is waiting. Let yourself sink into the comfort of the boundary, drifting, held within the great, quiet circle of the Yayoi. Step away from the water's edge and move toward the center of the village, where the wooden skeleton of the watchtower rises like a giant against the star-filled sky. You begin to climb. Feel the rough, weathered texture of the cedar logs beneath your hands. The ladder is narrow, and with every step, the wooden frame groans ever so slightly. A deep, earthy creak that tells you of the strength of the forest. Up and up, leaving the warmth of the earth behind. You reach the high platform. Here, the air is thinner, sharper, and carries the scent of the vast, open plains. You lean against the heavy railing, looking out over the circle of the village. From this height, the thatched roofs of the dwellings look like small, dark turtles resting in the shadows. And beyond them, the moat. A silver ring of moonlight that completely encloses your world. It is a perfect circle of safety, a boundary made of water and will. Turn your gaze outward, beyond the sharp points of the wooden palisade, beyond the silver ribbon of the water. Out there, the wilderness stretches into the infinite dark. The tall grass of the plains moves in the wind like the waves of a silent sea. Listen. In the distance, far beyond the reach of the village fires, you hear the faint, haunting call of a wild dog, or perhaps a wolf. It is a long, lonely sound that shivers through the night air. But it does not reach you. It stops at the edge of the water. You hear the heavy, slow breath of the forest breathing in the dark. The rustle of a nocturnal creature moving through the reeds. The distant flap of wings as an owl takes flight. These sounds of the wild are no longer a threat. They are merely a backdrop to your peace. Between you and the wild breath of the earth stands the moat, the wall, and the collective spirit of the village. You are the watcher, but you are also the one who is watched over. A gust of wind catches the tower, making the heavy timbers hum with a low, vibrating song. It is a deep, resonant frequency that you can feel in your chest, a vibration that matches the steady rhythm of your own heart. Your world is small, but it is whole. The watchtower, the moat, the circle. Everything is in balance. Close your eyes and let the high, cool wind wash over your face. You are suspended between the stars and the earth, safe, distant, and ready to drift. You descend from the high platform of the watchtower, your feet finding the familiar, rough logs of the ladder in the dark. Step by step, you return to the solid, cool embrace of the earth. The village around you is now a world of shadows, where the only movement is the slow, rhythmic dance of the smoke from the dying hearths. You walk back toward the inner bank of the moat, the great circle that defines your existence. Stand still at the water's edge one last time. The night is at its deepest point, and the air has become thick and heavy, like a velvet blanket that muffles every sound. Look down into the water. Because there is no wind, the moat has become a perfect black mirror. The stars are not just above you, they are beneath you too, held within the dark, still heart of the ditch. You are standing in the center of a celestial sphere, protected by the water and guarded by the sky. The circle is complete. Everything inside the moat is safe. Everything outside is a fading memory. You feel the weight of the day's labor finally dissolving into the cool night air. The watchtower, the palisade, the fields, they have all served their purpose. Now it is the water's turn to speak. Listen to the silence of the moat. It is a heavy, patient silence. The silence of a guardian who never sleeps, so that you can. You move toward your dwelling, the soft earth yielding under your weight. Squelch. The mud at the very edge of the path is cool and wet. A final reminder of the element that protects you. You step inside the low entrance, descending into the warmth of the pit. As you lie down on your mat, you imagine the village from high above, a small, glowing island of life, surrounded by the vast, protective ring of the water. The circle is closed. The gate is barred. The moat is still. You are held in the center of the world's most peaceful dream. Let your consciousness drift like a leaf on the surface of the water, spinning slowly, unhurried, until you sink into the cool, dark indigo of the deep. Further and further, into the ancient circular sleep of the Yayoi. The water has you now. Sleep. Just sleep. The morning mist has not yet lifted from the valley, but you are already far from the sounds of the village. You are standing in a hidden glade where the shadows of the ancient cedars are long and cold. Before you, resting on a bed of fresh ferns, lies the Dotaku, the great bronze bell. It does not ring for the ears of men, it speaks only to the spirit of the land. In the dim grey light, its surface shimmers with a dull, mysterious glow, a mix of deep green and weathered brown. Reach out and touch the rim of the bell. It is cold, a sharp, biting cold that seems to come from the very heart of the earth itself. Your fingertips slide across the smooth, heavy bronze, feeling the incredible weight of the metal. It is not like the wood or the clay you know. It is dense, permanent, an anchor for the soul. As you move your hand upward, you feel the patterns raised upon its skin. The kessamon, the delicate interlocking lines that map out the world of the yayoi. Follow the lines with your thumb. Here, a row of tiny stylized deer, frozen in a mid-leap across a bronze forest. There, the swirling patterns of running water, endless spirals that draw your gaze into a trance. You feel the tiny ridges, the imperfections where the mold was pressed, the silent labor of the craftsman who breathed life into this metal. Every line is a prayer. Every curve is a memory of the sun and the rain. You lean closer, your breath fogging the cold bronze for a brief second before it vanishes. The scent of the metal is sharp, a metallic, mineral perfume that smells of deep mines and hidden fires. It is the scent of power and the scent of sacrifice. You tap the side of the bell with a single fingernail. The sound is not a chime. It is a low, vibrating hum that you feel in your teeth rather than hear in your ears. A deep frequency that resonates through the ferns, through the soil, and into the very soles of your feet. The bell is waiting. It is heavy with the expectations of the village, heavy with the need for a bountiful harvest. But for now, it is just you and the bronze, in the absolute silence of the misty woods. The patterns under your fingers seem to pulse with a life of their own. You are holding the voice of the earth in your hands. Everything is becoming heavy. Everything is becoming still. The hole is ready. You have dug deep into the side of the hidden hill, carving a rectangular cradle out of the heavy, red clay. The air here is cool and smells of ancient minerals and damp roots. You lift the dotaku, feeling the massive, cold weight of the bronze straining your muscles. Step by slow step, you descend into the shadow of the earth. You lower the bell into its final resting place, hearing the soft, muffled thud as it meets the damp floor of the pit. It sits there now, a green bronze heart in the center of the dark clay. You reach down and touch the metal one last time. It is still cold, but you can feel the warmth of your own hands beginning to fade into the bronze. It is a sacrifice to the land, a gift of silence to ensure the life of the village. You pick up the first handful of soil. It is heavy, wet, and clings to your fingers like a dark secret. You let the earth fall over the bell. Squelch. The sound is heavy and wet. You watch as the dark clods of clay cover the intricate patterns of the deer and the water. Another handful, and another. The green surface of the metal is slowly disappearing under the weight of the hill. The metallic scent is being replaced by the deep, intoxicating aroma of the subterranean world. The smell of endless, quiet time. You begin to use your hands to press the earth down, pressing, smoothing, compacting the clay around the bronze shoulders of the bell. You feel the grit of the sand, the smooth slipperiness of the clay, the occasional sharp edge of a stone. Every movement is slow and deliberate. You are not just burying a metal object, you are burying a voice. You are weaving the silence of the mountain into the fabric of the bronze. The hole is nearly full now. The Dotaku is gone, hidden beneath a foot of heavy, silent earth. You level the ground, smoothing it with your palms until the surface looks as if it has never been disturbed. You scatter fresh ferns and dry leaves over the spot, letting the natural world reclaim its own. The bell is now part of the mountain. It is part of the deep, dark pulse of the earth. Stand still and breathe in the absolute quiet of the glade. Below your feet, the bronze is settling into its long sleep. It will lie there for centuries, heavy, secret, and still. You feel that same stillness rising up through your legs, settling into your heart. The work of the prayer is done. The weight of the earth is your comfort. You are drifting now, sinking down with the bell into the deep red clay of the past. Sleep. Just sleep. The ritual is complete. The footprints you left in the damp clay have already begun to soften, to blur, and to disappear as the mist turns into a steady, silent drizzle. You walk away from the hidden glade, leaving the Dotaku behind, buried deep within the chest of the mountain. Behind you, the silence is not just an absence of sound. It is a heavy, living thing, a weight of centuries that has already begun to press down upon the bronze. Imagine the bell now, resting in its dark, earthen cradle. It is perfectly still. Around it, the roots of the ancient trees move in slow, geological time, searching through the soil, coiling gently around the metal body like the fingers of a giant. The dampness of the earth seeped into every line of the Kesamon, filling the tiny deer, the waves, and the spirals with the cool, dark blood of the land. The bronze is no longer an object. It is becoming the mountain itself. There is no more ringing. The tongue of the bell is silent, held fast by the pressure of the red clay. But even in the dark, the potential for sound remains. A hum that is never heard, a vibration that belongs only to the stones and the deep water. Can you feel it? The frequency of the earth, slow, deep, and eternal. It is the sound of 1,000 winters passing in a single breath. The village may change, the languages may shift, and the forests may burn and regrow, but the bell remains. It is the anchor of the past, held in the cold, velvet grip of the subterranean world. The scent of the ferns above fades away, replaced by the absolute, metallic peace of the deep soil. There is no light here. There is no wind. There is only the rhythm of the stars, felt through miles of solid rock. You are drifting now, sinking with the memory of the bronze. Your thoughts are becoming like the patterns on the metal, elegant, slow, and frozen in time. The weight of the earth above you is not a burden. It is a shield. It is the ultimate safety. One more breath, as slow as a growing root. One more heartbeat, as deep as the buried bell. You are the bronze. You are the soil. You are the endless, forgotten silence. Sleep. Just sleep. The world above has faded into a distant grey memory. You are standing in the sacred silence of the burial grounds, where the air is still and smells of crushed ferns and ancient clay. Before you, a great vessel waits. The kamakan, a massive twin-chambered jar of reddish-brown earth, as tall as a man, yet as hollow as a dream. It is the final vessel of the Yayoi, the clay womb that will carry you back to the beginning. Reach out and touch the curved side of the jar. It is cool, surprisingly smooth, yet beneath your palm you can feel the granular strength of the fired earth. This clay was pulled from the riverbed, purified by fire, and shaped to hold the most precious weight of all: silence. You lean closer, and the scent of the jar fills your senses, a dusty, mineral aroma that feels older than time. It is a scent that promises a sleep that never ends. Imagine yourself stepping inside. The interior is dark, a cool velvet shadow that wraps around you the moment you enter. You find yourself folding your limbs, drawing your knees up toward your chest, a natural, instinctive position that you have not taken since before you were born. The walls of the jar are close, protecting you, enclosing you in a perfect circle of sun-baked earth. You are the seed within the husk. You are the secret within the stone. Listen to the sound of your own breath within the clay walls. It is muffled, soft, and rhythmic. The outside world is gone. There is no wind here. There is no sun. There is only the steady, comforting presence of the ceramic shell. You feel the pressure of the air within the jar, heavy and still. It is the weight of history, pressing gently against your skin, telling you that the work of the living is finished. A wooden lid is placed over the opening. Thud. The sound is dull, heavy, and final. The last sliver of grey light vanishes, replaced by an absolute, perfect blackness. But you are not afraid. In this dark cradle, you are safe. You are held. You are becoming one with the earth. The rhythm of your heart begins to slow, matching the cooling temperature of the clay. One more breath, and you are drifting into the deep, circular sleep of the ancestors. The sound of the wooden lid has faded into a dull, distant memory. Now, the true work of the earth begins. Imagine the weight of the hill above you. Hundreds of baskets of heavy, damp soil being poured over your ceramic shell. Thump. Squelch. You can feel the vibration through the walls of the jar, a slow, rhythmic pounding that tells you the world of the sun is being pushed further and further away. The earth is claiming its own. It is pressing down with the weight of centuries, compacting the silence around you until it is as solid as stone. Focus on the sensation of the air within your dark cradle. It is becoming thick, heavy, and perfectly still. There is no movement here, no breeze to stir the dust, no light to trick the eyes. You are wrapped in a cocoon of fired clay, held fast by the immense pressure of the subterranean world. The red clay of the hill is pressing against the jar, and the jar is pressing against your skin. A firm, steady embrace that says, you are safe. You are finished. You can rest. Listen to the heartbeat of the land. It is a sound so low, it is more of a feeling than a noise. It is the vibration of growing roots, the slow shift of tectonic plates, the ancient, patient breathing of the earth itself. Your own heartbeat begins to mirror this rhythm, slow, heavy, and deep. Each throb of your pulse is a message to your muscles to let go, to dissolve, to become part of the dark, mineral silence. The scent of the burial is all around you now. The smell of damp iron, of cold stone, and the sweet, heavy perfume of the deep soil. It is a smell that has no season. It is the aroma of eternity. You feel the boundaries of your body beginning to blur. Are you the person who walked in the fields? Or are you the clay itself? The pressure is so comforting, so absolute, that the question no longer matters. Everything is becoming one. The weight is your blanket. The darkness is your sight. The silence is your song. You are sinking deeper into the red earth of the Yayoi, beneath the roots, beneath the memories, into the final velvet layer of the past. One more breath, as heavy as the mountain above. One more second, as long as an age. You are drifting deep, deep into the eternal silence of the jar. The weight of the red clay has become your new skin. You are no longer separate from the hill, no longer separate from the Yayoi. Within the dark, curved walls of the jar, the final boundary of your body is beginning to dissolve. It is a slow, beautiful erosion. The minerals of your bones are whispering to the minerals of the clay. You are returning to the source, drifting back into the ancient, silent chemistry of the earth. Listen to the absolute silence of the deep. It is a silence that contains everything. The memory of the first grain, the heat of the summer sun, the cool breath of the marshes. They are all held here, pressed into the dark soil above you. You feel a profound sense of lightness growing within the heavy pressure. Your consciousness is no longer bound by the wood or the stone. It is rising, seeping through the walls of the jar, moving upward through the roots of the trees, higher through the damp earth, past the sleeping dotaku, until you reach the surface. But you do not stop there. Your spirit drifts upward into the indigo night, leaving the village, the circle of the moat, and the smoke of the hearths far below. You are moving toward the stars, the same silver stars that watched over the first farmers, the same ancient light that has guided the souls of the Yayoi for 1,000 years. Can you feel it? The iron in your blood, the calcium in your frame. They were born in the heart of a dying star, billions of years ago. Here, in the silence of the burial jar, You are finally rejoining that cosmic dance. You are stardust, held for a brief moment in the form of a human, and now you are returning to the infinite. The galaxy is a vast, rotating field of light, and you are just another grain of gold in the harvest of the universe. Everything is circular. The jar, the mote, the moon, the galaxy. The cycle is complete. You are safe in the arms of the earth, and you are free in the garden of the stars. The weight is gone. The time is gone. There is only the peaceful, eternal hum of existence. Drift now, further and further, into the velvet blackness of the deep dream. You are home. Sleep. Just sleep. Turn your back slowly on the low, damp and moss-scented shadows of the pit dwellings where you have spent so many nights. Leave behind the lingering smell of damp earth, the dim, smoky air of the sunken floors, and the feeling of being anchored to the mud. Walk with me now toward the heart of the village, toward the open clearing where the earth has been packed as hard as stone by the passage of 1,000 feet. Here the sun beats down without mercy, baking the clay until it cracks in delicate geometric patterns. But even in this blinding heat, a different kind of shadow is waiting for you. A shadow that does not come from the earth, but from the sky. As you reach the center of the clearing, stop. Look up. It rises above you like a silent wooden giant, its massive cedar pillars reaching toward the heavens like the ancient trees from which they were carved. The Takayuka Soko, the high floor granary. It is a monument of authority, lifting the village's collective wealth far away from the reach of the mud, the floodwaters, and the common touch of the earth. It is the first structure that truly defies the gravity of the soil, standing tall and proud against the blue expanse of the afternoon. Step forward now. Step into the deep, profound and cool shadow cast by the heavy wooden floor above you. The temperature drops instantly, as if you have walked into a forest that has been frozen in time. The air here is sharp, dry and intoxicating. It carries the heavy, dusty and golden perfume of 1,000 successful harvests. Reach out your hand and touch one of the main pillars. Feel the texture of the cedar. It is thick, solid, and smooth to a silken finish by the tireless labor of the village's finest craftsmen and the relentless passage of time. You can feel the hidden power within the wood, the immense, silent strength required to hold the crushing weight of an entire year's survival. This is no longer just a building made of timber and thatch. It is a monument to the surplus, a monument to the concept of more. Underneath this floor, the air is silent and still, protected from the wind and the noise of the village. You are standing beneath the vault of the Yayoi, the sacred place where the sun's energy is stored in the form of grain, and where the silence is guarded by the sheer weight of the wealth above. Look up at the Nezumi Gaeshi, the rat guards. Large, flat, and perfectly circular discs of heavy wood placed atop each of the massive pillars. They sit there in the dim light like silent, unyielding guardians of the threshold. Their only purpose is to protect the gold within from the hunger of the small, the weak, and the persistent. Every line in the grain of the wood, every deliberate notch made by the sharp stone axe, tells a story of exclusion and protection. You are standing at the boundary where the world begins to separate, between those who dwell in the mud and those who guard the grain, between the labor of the day and the security of the night. The rat guards are a silent warning, a wooden barrier that says the wealth of the village is no longer for everyone to touch. It is a treasure that must be lifted, guarded, and watched over with an unblinking eye. Feel the weight of that exclusion, the way it creates a space of quiet privilege in the very center of the bustling village. Listen to the sounds of the granary as it breathes. High above your head, the heavy wooden floorboards begin to groan ever so slightly under the massive, staggering burden they carry. Creak, creak. It is a slow, rhythmic, and hypnotic sound of immense pressure. The sound of the cedar planks protesting and accepting the weight of the harvest. And then, listen for the whisper. It is the faint, dry, and ghostly rustle of millions of individual rice grains shifting slowly in their giant ceramic jars. Shh. Listen closely. It is the sound of time being saved, the sound of power being gathered in the darkness of the vault. Each grain is a second of sunlight, a drop of rain, and an hour of human sweat, all gathered together into a dry, golden ocean. You can feel the pressure of this shadow against your skin, a cool, heavy, and undeniable presence that tells you the world is no longer equal. The era of the shared fire is fading, and the era of the high floor is rising. You are becoming a part of this shadow now, a part of the wealth that is stored away from the light. The shadow of the granary is long and reaching. It stretches across the beaten earth of the clearing, touching the low walls of the smaller houses like a dark finger, marking an invisible boundary between the keepers of the grain and the seekers of the bread. Your breathing slows as you embrace the immense weight of the structure. You are standing before the heavy, notched wooden ladder, the only bridge between the earth and the sanctuary above. In your hand, feel the weight of the key. It is not a key of cold metal, but a heavy, polished bolt of oak, smoothed by the oils of the powerful hands that have held it before you. You begin to climb. Your feet find the deep notches in the massive cedar pillar. Step by slow, deliberate, and rhythmic step. With every inch you rise, the dust of the common earth falls away. You are rising above the struggles of the field, rising above the dampness of the pit houses. The air begins to change as you ascend, becoming thinner, drier, and more fragrant with the scent of sun-dried summers and parched earth. You reach the high platform, standing at the very gate of the village's soul. You reach out and touch the heavy door of the vault. The cedar planks are thick, joined together with a surgical precision that defies the primitive stone tools used to shape them. You slide the wooden bolt into the lock. Creak. The sound is deep and resonant, a low wooden groan that echoes within the hollow, dark belly of the structure. It is the sound of authority. It is the sound of the sacred boundary being opened by the one who holds the power. As the door swings wide on its heavy wooden hinges, a wall of scent rushes out to meet you in the twilight. It is an intoxicating, overwhelming perfume of dry husks, sun-baked earth, and the sweet, heavy soul of the grain itself. Inside, The darkness is absolute, but your senses tell you that you are not alone. The jars are stacked high in the gloom, silent, clay soldiers standing in rows, guarding the treasure within their bellies. You reach into the nearest jar, burying your entire arm in the cool, flowing, and silken treasure. The grains are hard, smooth, and countless, each one a tiny unit of life, a tiny unit of time, and now a tiny unit of power. You turn around and look out from the high doorway, gazing down at the cluster of tiny pit dwellings far below. From up here, the world looks different, smaller, more fragile. The lives of those who toil in the mud of the paddies seem distant and muffled, separated from you by the height of the cedar pillars and the weight of the grain behind you. You feel the immense responsibility pressing down upon your shoulders like a physical cloak. Wealth is not a light thing. It is a heavy, silent burden that anchors you to the sky, while the others remain anchored to the earth. Listen to the silence of the vault. It is a thick, velvet quiet, protected by the massive timbers and the steep, heavy thatched roof. Outside, the sun may be setting, and the world may be cooling toward the winter. But here, inside the granary, the wealth remains warm and secure. You are the keeper of the shadow. You are the one who decides when the jars are opened and when they remain sealed. Let the steady, dry pulse of the shifting rice slow your heart. Sink into the golden destiny of the elite, drifting, settling into the high sanctuary of the Yamatai. The night has fully reclaimed the village now. The fires below have flickered out, leaving only the cold ash and the silence of the pits. But you are still here, inside the high-floor vault, sitting alone amidst the silent clay jars. Around you, the air is thick with the scent of dry gold, the gold of the harvest. Millions upon millions of rice grains, each one a tiny, hard promise that the cycle of life will continue. You reach into a jar once more and let the grains slip through your fingers. A dry, rattling waterfall that sounds like the final sigh of the earth itself. Shh. Listen to the grains as they fall. Each handful is a day of labor, a year of growth. And here, in the dark, they are all yours to guard. The weight of the surplus is a heavy, warm comfort, a foundation for the throne that is beginning to rise in the minds of men. But as the candle of your consciousness begins to flicker and fade, you feel the shadow of the granary changing once again. It is no longer a symbol of what you own. It is becoming a cocoon, a high wooden nest where the worries of the world cannot reach you. Outside, the stars have emerged in their infinite millions. They are indifferent to the stores of grain, indifferent to the high floor and the low pit. They shine with the same cold, ancient and impartial light upon the king and the farmer, the master and the servant. In this profound darkness, you feel the boundaries of your rank beginning to blur and dissolve. The power you hold, the 700 million grains of rice, they are becoming light, weightless, drifting away like the scent of cedar in the evening breeze. In the presence of the deep, eternal night, there is no more. There is only the breath. There is only the quiet. You lie back against the cool, smooth side of a ceramic jar, feeling its firm support against your tired frame. The scent of the husks is like a dry, herbal blanket, wrapping around your senses, drawing you down into a dream of golden fields and endless, eternal autumns. The ladder has been pulled up. The bolt is secure. You are safe in your high sanctuary. But you are also just a man, waiting for the silence to claim you. The circle is closing. The disparity of the day is fading into the unity of the night. The gold is returning to the shadows. Let the steady, rhythmic creak of the granary pillars be your final lullaby. You are the watcher. You are the owner. But now, in this moment, you are simply the sleeper. Sink into the golden dust of the husks. Sink into the silent, dark vault. Further and further, beyond the reaches of power, beyond the reaches of time, into the timeless, heavy, and golden peace of the Yayoi. One more breath, one more rustle of the grain. The surplus is safe. You are safe. Sleep. Just sleep. Good night. The sun is no longer a mere star in the fading sky. It has transformed into a massive, dying ember of ancient, molten bronze, sinking with an agonizingly beautiful and deliberate slowness behind the jagged, dark, and silent teeth of the western mountains. Watch as the light begins its final, majestic transformation. The vibrant gold of the late afternoon is being slowly drained of its heat and fire, replaced by a deep, bruised purple that bleeds seamlessly into a fading, ghostly and translucent orange across the infinite, velvety canvas of the heavens. This is the sky of the ultimate end. This is the long-awaited twilight of an era that has breathed, struggled, and flourished for 10,000 years. And you are standing here, in the deepening chill, to witness its very last, silent sigh of surrender. Feel the air as it begins to cool against your skin, the residual warmth of the sun-drenched fields radiating upward into the darkening void above. Listen to the wind as it brushes against the vast, infinite, and emerald sea of heavy rice stalks. The heads of the grain are bowed low, burdened by the weight of their own fruit and the dampness of the evening dew, looking as if they are in a final, collective prayer to the departing sun. Each movement they make is a dry, rhythmic, and hypnotic rustle, the sound of a million tiny, ancient voices sharing the secrets of the dark soil, secrets that have been buried deep within the mud since the very first grain was ritualistically planted by the hands of your ancestors. Shh. Can you hear the earth itself exhaling? It is letting go of the long day's labor, letting go of the feverish struggle of the harvest, and surrendering completely to the creeping, majestic indigo of the coming night. As the moisture begins to rise from the darkening paddies, it forms a thin, ethereal, and silver mist, a ghostly silken veil that wraps itself around the tall wooden stilts of the great granaries, making the entire village appear as if it were a floating island drifting slowly in a vast, silent sea of grey shadows. You are standing at the very edge of the great, deep moat, the unmoving water beneath you acting as a dark, obsidian mirror to the universe. It reflects a sky that is rapidly losing its earthly colours, turning into a profound and velvet blackness. Look down at your own reflection in the still water. You are no longer just a person of flesh and bone. You are a silhouette among silhouettes, a single precious thread in a long, unbroken, and sacred line of ancestors who have stood on this exact patch of cooling, sacred earth. Feel the profound, ancient fatigue settling deeply into your tired limbs. It is a weight that bypasses the muscles and sinks directly into the marrow of your very bones. A tiredness that has been accumulated over centuries of tilling the land and watching the seasons turn. Your hands, calloused, worn, and stained by the stone hoe and the wooden plough, are finally, truly at rest. The era of the small circle, the era of the protective moat, the wooden fence, and the immediate struggle for survival is finally closing its heavy eyes. Every slow step you take toward the center of the dark village feels heavier than the last, as if the earth itself is reaching up with invisible hands, trying to pull you down into its deep, cool, and peaceful embrace. Now, turn your gaze toward the great hall, the silent and majestic heart of the Yamatai. It rises like a dark, thatched mountain against the deep violet horizon, its massive pyramid roof reaching up toward the first, trembling, and ancient stars of the evening. You walk toward it with a slow, rhythmic pace, feeling the dry, cool dust of the path shifting between your toes. The sounds of the village life are becoming distant, ghostly echoes. The lowing of the cattle is now only a memory. The rhythmic clink of a potter's wheel has become a ghost of the past. The distant laughter of children has drifted away like thinning smoke in a cold winter wind. There is only the absolute, heavy silence of the approaching night. Step across the heavy, dark wooden threshold of the hall. Immediately, the world you knew disappears. The air inside this sacred space has a different weight, a different, more ancient scent. It is thick and heavy with the resinous, holy perfume of burning cedar, a sharp, cleansing aroma that stills the racing heart and clears the cluttered mind. It is mixed with the deep, earthy scent of mountain herbs, dried ferns, and sacred mugwort smouldering slowly in low, ceramic braziers. The smoke does not rise in a straight line. It wanders and drifts, curling and twisting in the flickering, dim orange light of the ritual fires, weaving a complex and shifting tapestry of spirits in the high, dark rafters. You are no longer in the world of men and labour. You are in the world of the Queen. Deep within the darkest shadows of the great hall, hidden behind a veil of translucent, white and shimmering silk that looks like a waterfall of frozen light, sits Himiko. She is as still and as unmoving as a mountain carved from ancient basalt. You cannot see the fine details of her face, only the suggestion of a powerful, regal silhouette, the majestic curve of a crown made of bone and gold, and the perfect, terrifying stillness of her hands resting upon her knees. She does not speak with a human voice. She has moved far beyond the simple vibration of vocal cords and the need for breath. She communicates through the resonance of the very air itself, through the way the long shadows stretch and shrink upon the ancient timber walls. At her feet, resting upon a pedestal of dark, polished and sacred wood, is the Shinju-kyo, the mirror of the gods and the beasts. It is a heavy, magnificent disc of pure, cold bronze, its back a complex landscape of swirling cosmic energy, mythological creatures, and ancient geometric patterns. Even in this profound darkness, the bronze mirror seems to hold a secret light of its own, a faint, metallic and rhythmic pulse that matches the slow, tectonic heartbeat of the earth deep beneath your feet. This mirror is the singular eye of the Yamatai. It has seen the rise of the rice from the mud. It has seen the fall of many kings, and now it is reflecting the very end of time as you know it. Reach out with your mind. Do not use your physical hands, but use the weight of your consciousness to touch that cold, unyielding bronze surface. Feel the vibration. It is a low, subharmonic and powerful hum, a sound so deep that the human ears cannot hear it, but the center of your chest feels it like a physical, rhythmic blow. It is the frequency of the universe itself, the sound of the distant stars grinding in their infinite celestial gears. The polished face of the mirror is not a mere reflection of the room. It is a gateway into the void. It shows you a world of indigo ripples and silver ghosts, shifting and turning like the surface of a midnight ocean under a frozen, ancient moon. As you gaze deeper into the bronze void, your own sense of identity begins to soften and dissolve. Your name, your worries about the coming winter frost, your memories of the sharp stone tools and the heavy grain, they are all becoming liquid, pouring slowly into the ripples of the mirror. You are becoming a part of Himiko's great, eternal vision. Her breath is so slow, so deliberate, that an entire age of man seems to pass between each inhalation and each exhalation. Inhale, and the cedar smoke rises into the darkness. Exhale, and the shadows of the era deepen into the soil. The village outside is gone. The world of struggle is gone. There is only this room, this mirror, and the holy, ancient silence that wraps around your soul like a heavy, silken cocoon. The queen moves, a subtle, almost imperceptible shift in her dark shadow behind the silk. It is the final signal. Outside, the sun has vanished completely into the dark underworld, but in its place, a new and massive shape is slowly rising from the darkness of the horizon. Look with your inner eye, past the wooden walls of the hall and the deep village moat. There, in the growing, absolute blackness of the night, a new monument is being born from the earth. The Zenpo Koen Fun, the great keyhole tomb. It is an artificial mountain made by the weary hands of 1 million people, a massive structure of silence designed to swallow the sun and the moon. Feel the earth beneath your feet begin to change its nature. The soft, fertile, and life-giving mud of the Yayoi is being packed tight and hard, layered with heavy, unyielding stones and armoured with millions of smooth river pebbles. It is no longer a place for the growth of rice. It is becoming a bed for the eternal sleep of kings. The frantic, seasonal energy of the harvest is being silenced by the immense weight of the stone burial chambers. You feel those heavy stones being placed upon your own spirit, one by one. Not as a burden of weight, but as a shield of permanence. You are being tucked into the very history of the earth. You are becoming as unmoving and as permanent as the mountains themselves. The fires in the ceramic braziers are finally dying down. The flickering orange light is fading into a dull, deep, and final crimson glow. The smoke is thinning into nothingness, leaving only the faint scent of ash and the fading memory of fire. Himiko has closed her eyes, and with that single, regal motion, the world itself begins to shut its doors for the night. Every sound in the universe is being muffled and softened, as if a heavy, indigo and silken blanket is being lowered over the entire islands of the east. The heartbeat of the village has merged into a single, low, and steady frequency that vibrates through the very air you breathe. You are no longer standing on the earth. You are weightless. You are rising through the thatched roof of the hall, through the thinning cedar smoke, and into the vast, velvet, and infinite expanse of the true night sky. Look down at the earth one last time. The village is now only a tiny, glowing spark in a vast sea of darkness. The great keyhole tomb is a silent, stone shadow in the mist, and you are becoming a part of the constellation now. You are a tiny, golden spark in the vast, celestial harvest of the universe. The iron in your blood, the salt in your breath, and the very atoms of your being, they are all returning to the great, cosmic dance. The circle of the Yayoi has finally, perfectly closed. There is no more past to remember, no more future to fear, and no more labor to perform. There is only this singular, beautiful point of infinite and absolute peace. The bronze mirror is cold and dark. The oracle is finished. The queen has fallen into the royal, eternal silence of the Yamatai. And now, you can close your tired eyes too. There is nothing left to guard in the night. The stars will always remain in their places. You are held. You are protected. You are loved. And you are finally whole. Sink down, further and further, into the indigo, into the peace, into the light. Only the stars remain. Only the silence remains. Sleep now. Just sleep. Good night.